Seshanaga is his further subpart. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 1, text 11. So Nityananda Ram, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. So all Purushavasaras are all expansions of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And that Shirodakshai Vishnu is the super soul of all living entities. And that's why the Paramatma is also called the Chaitya Guru. He's only giving us, he's only taking us close to Krishna by all his instructions. And that is no one but expansion of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And Sri Seshanaga is his further subpart. Mahavishnur Jagat Karta Mayaya Srijat Yada Tasyavatara Evayam Advaitacharya Ishvara. Lord Advaitacharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. Advaitam Harina Advaitad Acharyam Bhakti Samsanat Bhaktavataram Ishamtam Advaitacharyam Ashraye. Because he is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. So Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, who is the first Purusha Avatara. And he's called Advaita because he's not, there is no two, there's no difference. They are the same, is non-different from Hari, the Supreme Lord. And so he's called Advaita. And because he propagates the cult of devotion, he's called Acharya. So Acharya means the Guru. He is the Lord and incarnation of the Lord's devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of him. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. I offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is non-different from his features as a devotee, devotional incarnation, devotional manifestation, pure devotee, and devotional energy. So he is glorifying the Panchatattvatmakam Krishna. All the five aspects are non-different from the Supreme Lord. Of course, here in this Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is not mentioned about how that Sadashiva is also is not mentioned here, but then it is a fact and mentioned elsewhere. Jayatam suratau pangur mama mandamater gati mat sarvasva padambojau radha madana mohanau. Glory to the all-merciful Radha and Madan Mohana. I am lame and ill-advised, yet they are my directors, and their lotus feet are everything to me. Actually, Krishnadas Kaviraj Prabhu, he got blessings and permission from Radha Madana Mohan, who is the deity of the temple built by Sanatana Goswami. He already was directed by Nityananda Prabhu in his dream. He told him, go to Vrindavana and all your desires will be fulfilled. And he told him also to write about Chaitanya, write the book. But being very humble, he walked all the way. He immediately left, 90 years plus. And he walked all the way to Vrindavan, and he met all the Goswamis and took their permission to write this book. All the senior Vaishnavas there, he begged for their mercy, and then he came to ask permission from Radha Madana Mohan, and everybody was there. So many Vaishnavas were standing, and when the Aarti was going on, they were all watching. And at that time, Krishna's Kaviraj, he put his petition to the Lord, please give me an indication. Do I have your blessings to write this book? And then the garland fell down. So then everybody, they were all very ecstatic, because it was like Krishna was giving him permission and blessings. So that is why he's praying to them, Radha and Madana Mohana. I am lame and ill-advised, yet they are my directors, and their lotus feet are everything to me. Divyat Brindaranya Kalpadhrumada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanastau Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devau Preshtali Sevyamano Smarami. In a temple of jewels in Vrindavana, underneath a desire tree, Sri Sri Radha Govinda, served by their most confidential associates, sit upon an effulgent throne. I offer my humble obeisances unto them. Sriman Rasarambi Vamshi Vatatatastita Karshan Venu Sanair Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestuna. Sri Srila Gopinatha, who originated the transcendental mellow of Rasa dance, stands on the shore in Vamshivat and attracts the attention of the cowherd damsels with the sound of his celebrated flute. May they all confer upon us their benediction. So the mellow of Rasa dance, there in Vamshivat, he stands and plays the flute many times. Whenever Krishna wants to attract Radharani and the gopis to come, sometimes only to meet Radharani also, he plays the flute. And then when all the gopis are also required, then he has another note to call them. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra. And glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Eitina Thakura Gaudiya ke Kariya Chena Atmasat Yetinera Charana Vandontine Muranata. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohana, Govinda, and Gopinath, have absorbed the heart and soul of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita offers his respectful obeisances unto three deities of Vrindavana named Sri Madana Mohana, deities built by Sanatana Goswami, Sri Radha Govinda Deva, built by Rupa Goswami. I mean, the temple was built by Rupa Goswami, but the deities just appeared. He didn't. And Sri Radha Gopinath Ji, who built that temple? Anyway, I've forgotten one of not the six Goswamis, but somebody else. These three deities are the life and soul of the Bengali Vaishnavas or Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who have a natural aptitude for residing in Vrindavana. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas, who follow strictly in the light of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, worship the divinity by chanting transcendental sounds meant to develop a sense of one's transcendental relationship with the Supreme Lord, a reciprocation of mellows or rasas, of mutual affection, and ultimately the achievement of the desired success in loving service. These three deities are worshipped in three different stages of one's development. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu scrupulously follow these principles of approach. So first we have to worship Madana Mohan because he only helps us to get the Sambandha established, Sambandha Gyan. And Radha Govinda is in charge of the Abhideya, which is we engage in the different processes of devotional service. And Radha Gopinath, that is the highest, he gives us the highest perfection of in knowledge, which is to understand the um, conjugal pastimes of the Lord, Madhurya Ras. And he is the uh, Lord of the Prayojana. So according to our different stages of development, we worship. These three deities are worshipped. Gaudiya Vaishnavas perceive the ultimate objective in Vedic hymns composed of 18 transcendental letters that adore Krishna as Madana Mohana, Govinda, and Gopijana Vallabha, who charms Cupid, the god of love. Govinda is he who pleases the senses and the cows, and Gopijana Vallabha is a transcendental lover of the gopis. Krishna himself is called Madana Mohana, Govinda, Gopijana Vallabha, and countless other names as he plays in his different pastimes with his devotees. Now, the three deities, Madana Mohana, Govinda, and Gopijana Vallabha, have very specific qualities. Worship of Madana Mohana is on the platform of re-establishing our forgotten relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, we are presently in utter ignorance of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Pango refers to one who cannot move independently by his own strength, and Mandamate is one who's less intelligent because he is too absorbed in materialistic activities. It is best for such persons not to aspire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculation, but instead simply to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection.
Mataji, sorry to interrupt. Please make me host one more time, Mataji. My battery drained, so I joined from another mobile, and I'll start muting the devotees now.
Wacha,
Sorry
they
for
made
that.
me host. I thought they'll directly make you host. Okay, made you.
That's fine. Thank you.
Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay.
No, that's fine, Mataji. You can continue. That recording is going on. Recording is fine.
So, the three deities, Madana Mohana, Govinda, and Gopijana Vallabha, have very specific qualities. Worship of Madana Mohana is on the platform of re-establishing our forgotten relationship with the personality of Godhead. In the material world, we are presently in utter ignorance of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Pango refers to one who cannot move independently by his own strength, and Mandamate is one who's less intelligent because he's too absorbed in materialistic activities. It is best for such persons not to aspire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculation, but instead simply to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of life is simply to surrender to the Supreme. In the beginning of our spiritual life, we must therefore worship Madana Mohana so that he may attract us and nullify our attachment for material sense gratification. This relationship with Madana Mohana is necessary for neophyte devotees. So when we're too materially attached and we don't have any spiritual qualification, spiritual knowledge, and also many challenges materially also, you think you're independently, you cannot move independently by one's own strength. All such problems and difficulties. So why unnecessarily embark on all difficult processes? Just surrender to Krishna and not to aspire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculation, but instead simply to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of life is simply to surrender to the Supreme. Sometimes material success is actually not a benediction because it prevents us from surrendering to Krishna. So, if we have, sometimes Krishna does not give material success to his devotee, then he can immediately surrender, not his devotee, even materialistic people. So, then they should not aspire for success in fruitive activities or mental speculations, but instead simply to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of life is simply to surrender to the Supreme. In the beginning of our spiritual life, we must therefore worship Madana Mohana so that he may attract us and nullify our attachment for material sense gratification. This relationship with Madana Mohana is necessary for neophyte devotees. When one wishes to render service to the Lord with strong attachment, one then worships Govinda on the platform of transcendental service. Govinda is the reservoir of all pleasures. When by the grace of Krishna and the devotees, so one reaches the perfection of devotional service, he can appreciate Krishna as Gopijana Vallabha, the pleasure deity of the damsels of Braja. So it's the same Krishna in different vigrahas taking care of us in our different stages of spiritual advancement. So in the beginning, we want to be attracted by Krishna. So many anarthas are taking precedence over Krishna. We get easily distracted and we waste our time in all those things. And only because we're not sufficiently attracted to Krishna. We need that strong pull. Krishna has to attract us. Then we will think, I don't care for all that. I just want Krishna. So that is the first stage, Sambandha. We want to establish our Sambandha with Krishna. And then we want to be engaged in his loving devotional service. So we worship Radha Govinda Dev so that they can engage us in their services. And why do we render the services? Only so that we can get the perfection in devotional service, which is to understand Gopijana Vallabha, Krishna, who is who is the lover of the gopis, pleasure deity of the damsels of Vraja. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this mode of devotional service in 3 stages. And therefore, these worshipable deities were installed in Vrindavana by different Goswamis. So this is also established the work of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Everything he has made so systematic and so well, organized and written down so that we cannot make any mistake. Everybody can progress nicely. They are very dear to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas there, who visit the temples at least once a day. Besides the temples of these 3 deities, many other temples have been established in Vrindavana, such as the temple of Radha Damodara of Jiva Goswami, the temple of Shamananda Goswami, the temple of Gokulananda of Lokanath Goswami, and the temple of Radha Ramana of Gopala Bhatta Goswami. There are 7 principal temples over 400 years old that are the most important of the 5,000 temples now existing in Vrindavana. So those who have not yet been to Vrindavana should make it a point to first of all, they go first to our Krishna Balram ISKCON temple. Then from there, the most important thing is to visit these Goswami temples, because here Prabhupada is saying they are the most important temples, over 400 years old, and they are the most important of the 5,000 temples now existing in Vrindavana. In Vrindavana, there are so many temples, and some of them are housed in somebody's residence. That also is considered a temple. But These Goswami's 7 important temples are the most important. Gaudiya indicates the part of India between the southern side of Himalayan mountains and the northern part of Vindhya hills, which is called Aryavrata, or the land of the Aryans. This portion of India is divided into 5 parts or provinces: Panchagauda Desha, Saraswata, Kashmir and Punjab, Kanyakubja, Uttar Pradesh, including the modern city of Lucknow, Madhya Gauda, Madhya Pradesh, Maithila, Bihar and part of Bengal, and Utkala, part of Bengal and whole of Orissa. Bengal is sometimes called Gauda Desh, partly because it forms a portion of Maithila and partly because the capital of the Hindu king Raja Lakshman Sena was known as Gauda. This old capital later came to be known as Gaudapura and gradually Mayapur. The devotees of Orissa are called Udiyas. The devotees of Bengal are called Gaudiyas. And the devotees of southern India are known as Dravidi devotees. As there are 5 provinces in Aryavarta, so Dakshinatya, southern India, is also divided into 5 provinces, which are called Panchadravida. The 4 Vaishnava Acharyas were the great authorities of the 4 Vaishnava disciplic successions, as well as Sripad Shankaracharya of the Mayavada school, appeared in the Panchadravida provinces. So, this whole thing of dividing India, the names may be okay, that is Aryavrata and this is Dravida, but it doesn't mean that they are 2 different countries, because everything was, I mean, we know that Shankaracharya went right up to Kashmir and set up Mutt over there and in the Himalayas. Why would he go there if he thought that I'm born in South India, I'm a South Indian, I'm a Dravidian, so I'll put mutts only in South India? He never thought like that. He thought whole of Bharat Varsh, it is created by Krishna. Now these foolish atheistic people, they are saying that Bharat is made up of 2 halves. One is this thing, Aryans, and then Dravidians. Now one foolish person has come, he thought he's over smart, and he said, actually, India is divided into 4 different varieties, basically. Those who are in the eastern part are looking like Chinese. I mean, I found it so humorous that I'm just sharing how ridiculous it is. They've come from the Chinese, the northeastern part, and the western part have come from the Arabs, and the northern part have come from the Westerners, and the southern part have come from Africans. Now, really good imagination he has. We should congratulate him. But here we see how that it is one whole land. It's a spiritual land. And there was always, yeah, it's up to Krishna. He appears in different parts of India and he travels all over India. Did any time the Lord said, I will only stay in one particular area? Everyone, including Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went all over India. Why? Because we are one land. And so, and the 4 Vaishnava Acharyas plus Shankaracharya all took their birth in southern India, but their philosophy is accepted all over India. They only taught all the Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishta Advaita, Achintya Beda, Beda Tattva, everything. Of course, Achintya Beda, Beda Tattva came from Gauda, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But all the others, the Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, Madhvacharya, all these, Nimbarka, everyone. Okay, we'll see. All of them came from the south. And that's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that if I have to take a birth again, if I come here to preach, I want to be born in South India. He said that because here That way, you know, more this culture, spiritual culture is more intact than in the north, maybe because of the influence of the Mughals and so on. It was a little bit this thing. I mean, in their customs and all. Otherwise, there's a lot of devotion in North India. And that is something we have to really admire, that in spite of temples being destroyed much more in the north than in the south, still they've maintained that same kind of devotion and faith in the Lord.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, sorry for the interruption. Generally, usually we used to say North Indians are very much devoted to Krishna, Delhi, Vrindavan, or Gujarati, so many, no, Mataji? Even Dwaraka, no butcher shop in that area. So
they are very devoted, but in following rituals and knowing Sanskrit, the purity of the following a more pure lifestyle, learning, all that is more in the south, but devotion is more in the north. That is for sure. We tend to be more jnani oriented. South, you know, all these.
That's thank you.
Among the four Vaishnava Acharyas who are all accepted by the Gaudiya, see, they're all accepted by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And for that matter, even Rupa and Sanatana were south from Karnataka. So there is no such thing. Among the four Vaishnava Acharyas who are all accepted by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Sri Ramanujacharya appeared in the southern part of Andhra Pradesh at Mahabhutapuri. Sri Madhvacharya appeared at Pajakam near Vimanagiri, near Udupi, in the district of Mangalore. Then Sri Vishnu Swami appeared at Pandya, and Sri Nimbarka appeared at Mungera Patana in the extreme south. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the chain of disciplic succession from Madhvacharya, but the Vaishnavas in his line do not accept the Tattvavadis. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers do not accept the Tattvavadis, who also claim to belong to the Madhva Sampradaya. To distinguish themselves clearly from the Tattvavadi branch of Madhva descendants, the Vaishnavas of Bengal prefer to call themselves Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Madhvacharya is also known as Sri Gauda Purnananda, and therefore the name Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya is quite suitable for the disciplic succession of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Our spiritual master Om Vishnupada Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj accepted initiation in the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So that is how it's coming. Bhaktivinoda Thakur took initiation from Vipin Vihari. I mean, that was this Diksha Guru. And his Siksha is Jagannath Das Babaji. And they were all, I don't know what Sampradaya, some other. But because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took initiation, but how? Accepted in Madhva? No, his guru was, what's his name? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's guru is, who is for you all? Tell me first. Who's this guru? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So he also has to be in the Madhva Sampradaya. Otherwise, how will Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? So, I know Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whom we don't know, Vipin Vihari and Jagannath Das Babaji, whether they were Madhva Sampradaya or not. Anyway. Grantera Arambikari Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I invoke their benedictions. Tinera Smarane Haya Vigna Vinashana Anayase haya nija vanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Who are the three people? The spiritual master and devotees of the Lord and the personality of Godhead. All three, if we think of, then we can easily enable us to fulfill our destroys all difficulties. Also, Se Mangala Charana Haya Trivida Prakara Vastu Nirdesha Ashirvada Namaskara. The invocation involves three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Pratama Dhui Shloke Ishta Deva Namaskara Samanya Vishesha Rupe Duito Prakara. The first two verses offer respectful obeisances generally and specifically to the Lord, who is the object of worship. Tritiya Shloke Te Kari Vastura Nirdeshe Yaha Haite Jani Para Tatvera Uddesha. In the third verse, I indicate the absolute truth, who is the ultimate substance. With such a description, one can visualize the supreme truth. So first he gives he mentions who is the he first is defining the objective, then offering benedictions and offering obeisances. So the defining the object is Krishna. He is the object of worship. In the third verse, I indicate the absolute truth, who's the ultimate substance. With such a description, one can visualize the supreme truth. Chaturta shlokete kari jagate ashirvada sarvatra magiye Krishna Chaitanya prasada. In the fourth verse, I've invoked the benediction of the Lord upon all the world, praying to Lord Chaitanya for his mercy upon all. Say sloke kahi bhagyavatara karana panchasashta sloke kahi mula prayojana. In that verse, I've also explained the external reason for Lord Chaitanya's incarnation. But in the fifth and sixth verses, I've explained the prime reason for his advent. In these 6 verses, I've described the truth about Lord Chaitanya, whereas in the next 5, I've described the glory of Lord Nityananda. So that is how he has described the truth about Lord Chaitanya. So he said that first, he defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Then he described Nityananda Prabhu. Ara dui shloke advaita tatvakyana, ara eke shloke pancha tatvera vyakyana. The next 2 verses describe the truth of Advaita Prabhu, and the following verse describes the Pancha Tattva, the Lord, his plenary portion, his incarnation, his energies, and his devotees. These 14 verses, therefore, offer auspicious invocations and describe the supreme truth. Shabashrota Vaishnavera Kari Namaskara, Isabashlokera Kari Atta Vichara. I offer my obeisances unto all my Vaishnava readers as I begin to explain the intricacies of all these verses. So not only is he thinking of those Vaishnavas there and all his predecessor acharyas and so on, he's also paying obeisances to future readers. We are reading after 400 years. We also, he is saying, he is paying obeisances so humbly. As I begin to explain the intricacies of all these verses, Sakala Vaishnava Suni Kari Ekamana Chaitanya Krishnera Shastra Matas Nirupana. I request all my Vaishnava readers to read and hear with rapt attention this narration of Sri Krishna Chaitanya as inculcated in the revealed scriptures. Lord Chaitanya is the absolute truth, Krishna himself. This is substantiated by evidence from the authentic spiritual scriptures. Sometimes people accept a man as a god on the basis of their whimsical sentiments and without reference to the revealed scriptures. But the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita proves all his statements by citing the Shastras. Thus, he establishes that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, by citing the Shastras, so we also should know the Shastras which establish Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna Guru Bhakta Shakti Avatara Prakasha Krishna Ye Chaya Rupe Karina Vilasa. Lord Krishna enjoys by manifesting himself as spiritual masters, then as the devotees, the divine energies, the incarnations, and the plenary portions. They're all 6 in 1. E Chaya Tatvera Kari Charana Vandana Pratame Samanya Kari Mangala Charana. I therefore worship the lotus feet of these 6 diversities of the one truth by invoking their benedictions. Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktam Isham Ishavatarakan Tat Prakashams Tat Shakti Krishna Chaitanya Samnyakam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters. No. The devotees of the Lord's incarnations, his plenary portions, his energies, and the primeval Lord himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has composed this Sanskrit verse for the beginning of his book, and now he will explain it in detail. He offers his respectful obeisances to the 6 principles of the absolute truth. Gurun is plural in number because anyone who gives spiritual instructions based on the revealed scriptures is accepted as a spiritual master. Although others give help in showing the way to beginners, the guru who first initiates one with the Mahamantra is to be known as the initiator, and the saints who give instructions for progressive advancement in Krishna consciousness are called instructing spiritual masters. Initiating and instructing spiritual masters are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna, although they have different dealings. Their function is to guide the conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. So so first he is describing the Guru Tattva. Guru, he offers his respectful obeisances to the 6 principles of the absolute truth. 5 we know, Panchatattva. One additional thing is the Guru Tattva he has added. Isha Bhaktan refers to the devotees of the Lord like Srivas and all other such followers who are the energy of the Lord and are qualitatively non-different from him. Ishavatarakan refers to Acharyas like Advaita Prabhu, who is an avatar of the Lord. Tat Prakashan indicates the direct manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nityananda Prabhu, and the initiating spiritual master. So that's the difference between expansion and incarnation. expansion is directly, he has expanded himself, and there is no difference at all between Krishna and Balaram or Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Whereas the others who have expanded from Nityananda Prabhu, when they descend to the material world, they are called avataras. They are called avatars of the Lord. Whereas Nityananda is non-different from, no, sorry, he's an expansion. That Shakti refers to the spiritual energies, Shaktis of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar, Damodar, and Jagadananda belong to this category of internal energy. The 6 principles are differently manifested, but all equally worshipable. Krishnadas Kaviraj begins by offering his obeisances unto them to teach us the method of worshipping Lord Chaitanya. The external potency of Godhead called Maya can never associate with the Lord, just as darkness cannot remain in the presence of light. Yet darkness, being but an illusory and temporary covering of light, has no existence independent of light. There is nothing called darkness. When there is no light, there is darkness. It is always in comparison to light. They are dependent on light. So this thing is about Mantra Guru and Chaitra Shiksha Guru and so on. So Chaitanya Charitamrita clearly establishes all the nuances, all the knowledge we need to know in our Vaishnava tradition, very philosophically, very, very sound. And of course, he also describes all the emotions also are there. But he also gives a lot of philosophical, understanding. That is why Prabhupada translated this first. And of course, Chaitanya Bhagavat later on his disciples, because that's only description of pastimes. But not that it is inferior, because everything is only about Lord Chaitanya and his dealings with his devotees. So that is the topmost scripture. Okay. So I'll stop now. Any questions or comments?
Mataji, sorry, I was out for some time. So today you covered Adi Leela, first chapter. Which was Mataji?
I'll tell you up to 34.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you.